You're the one who brought up divorce. It's only fair that you pay the alimony in the divorce trial, right?
What if I was cheating? Would you try to take more?
In today's world, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Infidelity is a taboo, and that carries serious responsibility. You should definitely pay $100,000.
I no longer have any mercy for my husband, who puts himself first and berates me. I decided to isolate him from our relatives and make him truly disconnected from the real world. My name is Mary. I'm 27 years old. I married James, who's the same age as me. I took over a flower shop from my late dad and run it. In addition to running the flower shop, I also do floral arrangements for event venues. Just before graduating high school, my dad's health worsened, and I, as an only daughter, started helping with the family business. 2 years after I finally learned the ropes of the flower business, my dad passed away when I was 20, and I took over the shop. Then, perhaps, shocked by Dad's passing, my mom developed early onset dementia and had to be admitted to a care facility. However, at the time, individual flower shops that only sold fresh flowers were closing one after another. I had to earn enough not only for the shop but also for my mom's care facility fees, which worried me greatly. That's when I remembered my dad's will. Challenge yourself with something new every day. So when I took over the shop, I incorporated floral arrangements into the business, which wasn't very common at that time. I met my husband James through these floral arrangements. I was 22 when I handled the floral arrangements for the founding anniversary party of James's company. James was working in the general affairs department then and was in charge of the event's venue decoration. During the meetings for the venue decoration, I grew to appreciate James' sincere attitude. Thanks to our meticulous planning, the event decoration was well received and the party ended successfully. After the founding anniversary party, James confessed to me on our way back.
Mary, would you want to go out with me?
I said yes to his proposal and we started dating. After dating for about 2 years, we got married. But actually, when James proposed to me, I initially turned him down. I'm running a business on my own. Plus, even though my mom is in a care facility, she needs frequent visits for her dementia care. I can't do household chores, and would be a burden to you, James. So, I can't marry now. I turned him down because I couldn't do household chores well and didn't want to burden him. So I said I couldn't marry at that time. But James,
I love you, Mary. If you're that busy, I'll take care of everything at home. Let's get married,
he offered. I was so moved by this love that I agreed to marry him. However, about a month after we got married, James stopped keeping his promise to do all the household chores.
I've been transferred to the accounting department. There's no way I can do housework.
James started coming home late, saying he had more overtime. He often worked on weekends, and we barely saw each other. Thinking, James has been transferred. It must be hard for him. I need to do my part. I managed the housework in the little time I had after early morning purchases. But 6 months into our marriage, I found myself doing all the shopping, cooking, laundry, and cleaning. I reached my physical limit and was bedridden for about 3 days. Luckily, there were no flower arrangement jobs during those 3 days, so it didn't inconvenience the customers. Realizing this could lead to a significant loss for me, I tried to discuss sharing household responsibilities with James.
What? I never signed up to be a house husband, and I'm swamped with overtime. Are you trying to kill me?
There was no room for discussion, but I was at a risk of collapsing too. I've got more big projects, and I haven't been able to visit Mom at the care facility. Can you help out a little? James seemed so averse to this conversation he couldn't wait for me to finish.
Anyway, I have no intention of doing housework. That's a woman's job, right? So just do it.
He ended the discussion unilaterally with an illogical reason. This is nothing like the promise we made before getting married. I'm busy too. Despite feeling the injustice, I decided to continue the marriage for the time being. However, James's overtime and weekend work continued even after 2 years. How can a big construction company have so much overtime and weekend work, even if it's the accounting department? James' company is a major firm with a strong adherence to laws. They shouldn't allow unreasonable overtime or weekend work beyond the legally defined hours. It's strange for a company to have such long overtime periods, right? Normally, prolonged overtime and weekend work would lead to fatigue and health issues. but there was no sign of that in James. Instead, he seemed quite relaxed, saying,
"This weekend I have to play golf for a client meeting. It's annoying to do this on my day off."
He even looked happy. What? Entertaining in the accounting department? That's unheard of. Something's fishy. I started to suspect James' unnatural overtime and weekend work. I need to investigate this. With these thoughts in mind, as I entered the second year of marriage, I hired a detective agency to investigate James. The day after I received the report from the year-long surveillance of James by the agency, I pretended to be doing early morning purchases so no one would disturb me and flipped through the report in the delivery van. It contained some shocking facts. First, although James had been transferred to the accounting department, he was hardly doing any overtime. What the heck? This is completely different from what he told me. I collapsed from the exhaustion because of this. But more shockingly, the detective's report revealed an affair. James had been cheating with a university student named Jennifer, who worked part-time in the General Affairs Department, even before we got married. And this affair had continued even after our marriage. What? So he was meeting this Jennifer woman during his supposed overtime and weekend work? This is outrageous! According to the report, this Jennifer is currently 23 years old, a university student working part-time as an office assistant in the General Affairs Department at James's company. The enclosed photos showed her as not exceptionally beautiful, but fair-skinned and slightly plump, the kind of woman that seems to appeal to men. She's in a 4-year college and had to repeat a year once for playing too much. She's still job hunting while working part-time. This woman, she's not just young. James, this can't be true. The report continued. The relationship with Jennifer started about 6 months before James and I got married, and Jennifer continued the relationship even knowing James was married. Moreover, she had a boyfriend and was still seeing him. That hussy! I was trembling with rage as I read the report alone. Then came an even more shocking revelation. James had been driving me to my mom's care facility for visits. It was the only kindness I felt from him in his recent behavior. But even during those times when I was visiting Mom, James and Jennifer were enjoying their secret meetings in a hotel. To top it all off, the detective's report included audio recordings of their conversations. Hey, do you think your wife will bring up divorce soon?
Yeah, she collapsed from overwork before, so she must be tired enough to bring divorce papers, right?
So it's soon. I want to have a wedding abroad with the alimony we'll get.
Yeah, where should we do it? Hawaii?
Ew, that's so cliche. They must have been talking at some cafe. They betrayed me and planned to plunder the alimony from a divorce trial to fund their own marriage. The raw audio data conveyed the cruel reality more vividly than text, cutting deep into my heart. This can't be real. I never thought humans could be so greedy, cunning, and capable of such terrible things. I loved James for his sincerity. That's why this calculated and filthy act of betrayal hit me so hard that I was almost hyperventilating. As I curled up in the car until I could breathe normally, the sky that was dark when I started reading the report had brightened completely. I stared at the blue sky, so contrary to my turmoil, for a while. Once I had composed myself, I called my lawyer. After returning home, I immediately posted a temporarily closed sign at the entrance of my flower shop. When I went upstairs to the living area, James was in his pajamas, munching on toast and fiddling with his phone. James, I need to talk to you.
What? On my precious day off?
After reading the detective report, I noticed James's attitude towards me had completely changed. He used to be so kind. Now he's just a tyrant.
What? Looking for a fight first thing in the morning?
About our life together, James. I've reached my limit. Do you understand what I'm saying? The moment James heard these words, he smirked in a nasty way that I didn't miss.
I'm a bit confused. Can you clarify?
All right. To be more clear, I want to break up with you. At this, James not only didn't hide his smirk, but looked down on me arrogantly.
So you're saying you want a divorce?
James, unaware that I knew of his shoddy plans, eagerly jumped at the divorce I initiated. With his calculated approach, he demanded a division of property and alimony.
Since Mary wants a divorce, of course, I need compensation. So, for the divorce of property, I'll take this house, which is also the atelier and shop, the car, and half of the savings, which is $100,000. Plus, for the alimony, another $50,000, and a restraining order with a $1,000 fine each time it's violated.
While presenting the completed divorce papers, he said,
You're the one who brought up the divorce. It's only fair that you pay the alimony in the divorce trial, right?
The betrayal of the last 2 years and this inhumane behavior towards me caused me a headache and ringing in my ears. Stunned by the extreme treatment from my spouse, I whispered in my head, I'm tired, and then asked James one question. What if I was cheating? Would you try to take more? From a very condescending position, James retorted,
Oh, yes. In this day and age, gender doesn't matter. Infidelity is forbidden, right? That's a serious responsibility. You should definitely pay $100,000 in alimony in the divorce trial.
So, but I haven't cheated, right? Isn't this claim too high?
Huh? I'm even making concessions here. You've been working right after high school, so you really don't know the world. That's why you have such a perception. It's your detachment from reality that always gives me chills and goosebumps.
James's malicious words shattered my rationality. The tiny bit of affection I had for James in my heart transformed into a fiery rage. So, I don't need to show any mercy to this man. If I'm going to act, I'll do it thoroughly. With that thought in mind, I decided on my course of action. I resolved to socially isolate both my husband, James, and his affair partner, Jennifer, along with the people who raised them. First, I informed James that his demands wouldn't be met. Your demands won't be accepted, you know. First of all, the house is what I inherited from Dad when I was young, so it's not marital property. And the car is in the name of my company, so that's also not marital property. Do you understand? And just because you can't get shared property from me doesn't mean you can take all the savings. In fact, I should be the one receiving money since I've been paying for all our living expenses.
What? So there's no rental income from the leased shop? No, but I've lived in this house for 3 years, so I should have residency rights.
What are you talking about? Residency rights are something that comes up in evictions, not divorces. Are you thinking in terms of corporate housing since you were in the general affairs department?
Damn it!
My husband seemed like he wanted to say something, but he couldn't keep up and remained silent, biting his lip. And about me being out of touch with reality? Well, then what's this? I held up the photos collected by the detective agency over the past year, showing James and Jennifer's affair right in front of James.
Wait, why do you have these?
James's face, which had been flushed with anger, turned pale. I already know about your affair with this Jennifer woman since before our marriage. Even someone as delusional as you can understand this, right? Take some time to think about your next move. With that, I sent James to the bedroom. Then I called my lawyer again, whom I had contacted in advance.
Hello, Mrs. Mary. I was waiting for your call. Today, being a holiday, Mr. James's family was having breakfast together.
Is that so? That's good to hear. So they will all come?
Yes, they all agreed to come after I talked to them. However, it will take about 2 hours for them to arrive.
Understood. Please tell them I appreciate the effort. 2 hours later, the family lawyer and James's in-laws arrived on time, and I welcomed them into the room. The in-laws had already been briefed by the lawyer about James's affair. John, my father-in-law, turned pale as he entered my room and approached me.
Mary, I'm terribly sorry for the awful thing James has done.
John, thank you for coming today. Please take a seat on the sofa, and I'll explain everything in detail. After inviting the in-laws to sit in the living room and giving them a moment, I called James. James, nonchalantly scratching his head, walked into the living room, only to be met with glares from all the in-laws.
Why are Dad and the others here?
Seeing the in-laws seated in the living room, James couldn't help but raise his voice. Finding it tedious to deal with every reaction of James, I simply made him sit on the floor. In those 2 hours, James must have realized that his demands were not going to be met and that it was more beneficial for him not to divorce.
I've decided to call off the divorce,
he said, once again speaking down to me. Always looking down on me, aren't you? I was so beyond exasperated that I handled this foolish man's behavior with calmness. First, let's revisit this evidence. I presented the proof of James's affair one more time, this time in front of the in-laws. Photos of James and his mistress Jennifer hugging at the hotel entrance. Documents detailing the exact dates and times they met. And the audio data from the cafe where they discussed claiming alimony from me in a divorce trial. John, after seeing this evidence, was silent. His face flushed as he followed the dates and times James and Jennifer met. Linda, my mother-in-law, and Elizabeth, my sister-in-law, looked somber, tears welling up as they saw photos of James and Jennifer being affectionate. Linda repeatedly muttered, "I can't believe James would do this." Sighing with each photo she turned, I wondered what my brother-in-law Robert was thinking. He sat with his arms crossed, eyes closed, frowning, looking up at the ceiling. As I observed the in-laws' reaction, I said, "Well, there's absolutely zero chance that James is innocent. The evidence I've presented is conclusive, and James has nothing to refute it." Hearing this, Robert and Linda burst into tears and apologized to me. "Mary, we're so sorry. It's our fault for raising James to be such a scoundrel." Then, seeing his parents' state, Robert suddenly kicked James, who was sitting on the floor.
"You damn James! Don't you realize your actions are worse than animals?"
Robert, known for his strong sense of justice and having once aspired to be a professional kickboxer, was furious at his brother James's despicable behavior and couldn't help but lash out. Robert's powerful kick sent James sprawling face first onto the floor. "Bro, what the heck are you doing? That's disgusting!" Elizabeth, who had been bullied by James since they were kids and had always despised him, was clearly fed up. According to her, James always had a tough attitude towards the weak. Elizabeth, having been victimized by James in the past, decided to cut ties with her brother upon learning of his actions towards me. Her eyes were filled with disgust, no longer seeing James's family but as something vile. After the in-laws' reprimand of my husband, the lawyer began discussing the division of property and alimony for the divorce.
"Right. After discussing with Mary, we've decided the following for this divorce case involving James. First, the divorce will be finalized, as we already have the divorce papers James submitted earlier. Regarding the alimony, we're demanding $50,000. As for the division of property, there will be none." He also mentioned that James's actions of hiding the affair and trying to claim alimony could be considered attempted fraud, a criminal offense for which a police report could be filed. However, instead of filing a police report, we would settle for $50,000 in alimony. He informed James and his in-laws that if they didn't accept it, it would lead to mediation and a criminal lawsuit. James seemed utterly unaware that his actions constituted a criminal offense. "No way! If this comes out, I'll be a criminal!"
I couldn't comprehend James's selfish remarks. Even the in-laws began to sympathize with me, irritated by such a cheating husband.
"James, how can you say such things in this situation? We are so sorry, Mary,"
John said, and the in-laws once again deeply apologized, fully accepting my conditions for the divorce. After putting an end to James' betrayal, I asked the in-laws to take him home. I wanted to throw salt at the defeated James as he trudged away, but I refrained out of respect for the in-laws. Then I discussed with my lawyer about Jennifer, James's affair partner. Despite being a university student, she had helped destroy another family. Moreover, in the audio data, Jennifer referred to me as a senile mother's annoying old lady and an unfortunate woman with only a high school diploma, ridiculing me with James. "Hey James, since we're divorcing anyway, let's get a lot of money from this old lady," she had said. Furthermore, the plan to extort alimony from me in the divorce trial was mostly Jennifer's idea, as revealed in the audio data. It's appalling how someone I've never met could plot something so terrible, I thought, my anger boiling over. I decided to take action against Jennifer, James's mistress. A few days later, after my lawyer surveilled Jennifer and informed me she had returned home, I waited nearby. Once her family was gathered, we met and approached Jennifer's house. The lawyer rang the doorbell, and Jennifer's mother hurried to the door, opening it with a fluster.
"Hello, we need to speak with Jennifer and her family,"
my lawyer said, presenting his business card. "Wait, please, wait a moment." Jennifer's mom, confused by the sudden visit, asked us to wait and went back to consult with Jennifer's dad. Minutes later, she reappeared, reluctantly letting us in. Inside, the scenario unfolded much like with James. The lawyer laid out the detective's report on the table. Initially in denial, Jennifer's family eventually had to accept the overwhelming evidence. My lawyer then demanded $30,000 from Jennifer as alimony in the divorce trial. Jennifer's dad retorted,
"That's extortion. I'll sue for blackmail."
to which my lawyer calmly replied, "Then we'll see you in court." And we left Jennifer's house. After that, I left all negotiations with Jennifer to my lawyer. Facing these people again would be nothing but distressing for me. The day after, my lawyer received numerous calls from Jennifer's dad, not to apologize, but to negotiate a reduction in the alimony. My lawyer responded,
"Mary's emotional damage cannot be measured in money. What's needed is your willingness to apologize. The very fact that you're trying to haggle over the alimony shows a lack of sincere remorse. If you continue with these unproductive calls, we ask you to refrain from contacting us."
He sternly informed Jennifer's dad. Jennifer's dad must have realized the gravity of his actions, as he eventually managed to gather the $30,000 by selling his valuables and paid it by the deadline. Later, Jennifer, along with her parents, visited my lawyer to offer a profound apology. Jennifer was in tears, her makeup smeared from crying. Apparently, she was cheated on by her boyfriend, with whom she was having an affair with James.
"I regret what I did to Mary,"
Jennifer sobbed to my lawyer. I hope this ordeal has made Jennifer more sensible, and she seriously pursues her job search. Despite the chaos caused by the divorce, I managed to protect the shop my dad built from the ambitions of my ex-husband James and his mistress Jennifer. Now my days are busy with work and visits to mom, but I have more free time than when I was married to James. This is because I use the alimony from the divorce to hire employees. Flower arrangement is very popular among women now, and job postings of learning and working in this skill attract many applicants. Having enthusiastic employees makes my job more fulfilling. Now I can delegate some work to them and have more time to visit mom. The staff, which started with just one person, has grown to a dozen. We regularly supply to a famous hotel, stabilizing the business. I'm truly happy now. By the way, my lawyer told me that after the divorce scandal, James and Jennifer got married following her pregnancy. However, it's unclear whose child she's carrying, as she was going back and forth between James and her boyfriend at the time. James was demoted at his construction company for disrupting the workplace order by having an affair with a part-time employee despite being married. His company, known for its high compliance standards, is unforgiving of such misconduct. One wonders how James will manage with a child on the way, but that's no longer my concern. As for my love life, I met a fashion designer at a flower design event for a fashion show, and we started dating. He knows about my past and says there's no need to rush into marriage. We both value creativity in our professions and want to cherish that first. Indeed, in today's world, marriage isn't the only way to maintain a partnership. I'm not sure if it fits my dad's advice to challenge yourself with something new every day, but I value my relationship with him the most and want to continue walking together in life.